Welcome everybody, it's Evelyn. I have two Metatron reads for you today, the one from yesterday and the one from today. I was getting a lot of complicated downloads today, which is why I'm running a little bit behind. I still have to catch up on my astrological reads for you guys, so I am going to get a few done today. And if not, I'm just going to focus solely on the astrological reads tomorrow. So two Metatron reads today and then the twin flame read on the table for you guys. Take a deep breath. Continue to do a few deep breaths while I go ahead and start here. And thank you all for being here with me. I'm going to roll a die. And today's the 20th of February, 2022. I did the Metatron read yesterday morning, the first one, and then the other one today, all day, basically. And then the twin flame read was from last night. So for the twin flames today, February 20th, 2022, it adds up to 28 today, which is the twin flame energy. Yesterday was the Ace of Wands. Today is the Two of Wands, which is that choice of path, the third energy, the twin flames. And the 20 of Judgment, which is about just making decisions. It's also 20, which is the 0 of source energy, backing up the number 2 of the divine feminine, or the mediator. It's about that wake-up call, perhaps announcements, like I'm doing now. So for the twin flames, what do we have here? We have the number 12. So there's a completion energy there, along with the hanging man, which is Pisces, but I also get Capricorn for the hangman. Also December, which is Capricorn and Sagittarius. We also have the Cancer symbol here, which is also the energy of the 69, which is the Ace of Pentacles, and however else you want to construe that. And then we have the North Node here, which is in Taurus. Okay, so we have Taurus, and again Cancer, and that energy of the home, and perhaps luxuries as well. And Pisces or Capricorn, Sagittarius may be coming up as well. But again, the North Node, we've been focusing on the Scorpio South Node and what needs to be let go of, and here we have the North Node today. So focusing on that Taurus energy, on how the world is going forward, and perhaps hanging out with family. I was actually at my great-nephew's birthday party yesterday, and they're so cute. So it was nice to actually met my great niece for the first time, which my father, who passed away in 2016, told me that was him. So it was the first time I got to meet her, and definitely had some connections there. They're so cute in the way they answer your questions when they can't talk. So that was really nice energy. So let's get right into this first Metatron read. Make sure I show you the right one today. All right, so this is the first one. The first Metatron read from yesterday. I'm going to give that to you first. This is a quicker one. Oh, I actually have a message of the day for you too. That's a quick one from last night. All right, so this one was done at 10:10 yesterday morning to about 10:13 yesterday. And the underlying energy was the gold card, which looks like the Ace of Cups. It's like the Holy Grail. And the colors that came up here were indigo, orange, lilac, gold, white, pink, red, and yellow. So quite a bit of colors yesterday. So what are we missing? We have red, orange, yellow. We do not have green of the heart. And very interesting, there's no blues, because there's a blue and indigo card in this deck. And there is lilac and white. So we're kind of like skipping past the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye to focus on the other areas here. And there's the pink too, which is that gold pink compassion of the Christ consciousness and the mother energy. Let's see, was there any elements yesterday? Nope, no elements in yesterday's read. So the underlying energy, and then the first card out was Archangel Sandalphon, which I always call Saint Dolphin, which is number 22 in the Fool's Journey. The underlying energy being the indigo star, the child on their knees, perhaps feeling whole and complete in the mystery and mastery of life. The twin flames in the electromagnetic grid, untying the karmic knots with the gold cup of replenishment, 2 golden means, which basically the Fibonacci sequence shape is like the 2 sides of the heart coming together, or like a petal. And so those 2 golden means here, or the heart, coming up here together to infinity and beyond, which is funny because the birthday party I was at yesterday was all about to infinity and beyond with Buzz Lightyear. And the double eye of the storm of the 2 diamonds together, like the Vesica Pisces, except in diamond shape as opposed to circles, figuring out the puzzle. The solar plexus, remember, plexus is a place where things come together, of quantum entanglement. The push and pull of the heart, wanting to go home to infinity and beyond, but yet wanting to stay in your human avatar as well. And then I was getting, do I stay or do I go? But now you can do both. So there's no choice that you need to make. So the first card out, like I said, was Archangel Sandalphon. And the card says that they are here for you now on the Fool's Journey with an open heart and music. It's that very creative energy. Saint Dolphin, as I call him, the Lyran energy with the lyra, literally holding the musical instrument, with you now. Time out needed in the purple moon, or the 0 point field, as the Queen of Wands stretches and lunges, the orangutan energy coming up here of the orange and the utan, which is the forest man, or the vegetarian man, or the hairy orange vegetarian man like the orangutan, who stretches. The castle in a cloud takes off towards Sandalphon and high realms and magic, with the Page of Swords message. And that could be a child as well, messaging you. And the King of Swords with diamond lights sitting in the purple moon, while the King of Wands may be unbalanced in duality, exercising connection and attunement. The 5D versus the 3D, and between, the evolution of the heart. The Page of Cups birthing the new as the hermit takes action to move, where the land meets the sea, meets the sky, meets the I am. The light and dark in pursuit of the sun, light and happiness, the sun worshipper, with the shadow pack to transmute into an energy source, like carrying around your own little backpack of energy whenever you need it. The divine feminine safety pin, the technical drawing that I have brought to you before of the safety pin, with the divine masculine, who has the divine masculine is the back of the pin with the housing on top, and the feminine is the point side of the pin, and they each have 1 circle below. So the point goes out to the sun, collects the energy, and then it goes through the feminine, the masculine. It closes the pin, it creates a vacuum, the masculine uses the energy, and then it falls open again for the feminine to go back and collect energy from the sun. So the divine masculine with housing within in, but without the divine feminine and connection here. There was part of the pin missing here. So the pin, the word pin, was coming up as very significant here, and it will come again with the readings today. The word pin, I literally looked up the definition to see how it was worded. And it's a sharpened steel wire with a head and a safety to protect from the point, or a trigger point. That's what I was getting. And the needle that's usually without an eye, and it's used to fasten or hold down the fort temporarily, or electric connection. Making a move that exposes your vulnerability is also pin, like in wrestling when you pin someone, or in chess. Making a move that then, even if it's a good move for you, it then exposes a vulnerability that wasn't exposed before. And then caligo is coming up, which is a speck on your cornea, like so not being able to see well, some cloudiness in your eyes, dirt or darkness, and can loosen or tighten tension, and can serve as a journal. 1/8 of a barrel was also coming up. So here again is that 1/8 of the 8th note, or the Crazy Eights dance, to fix so that it can't be modified, or preparing for more permanence. Taking the lead was coming up here, holy and the pinball machine, pines and pegs also coming up to say or, again, tell a story. So it's a second word that's defined as telling a story that came up in the past couple days. So again, this is the pin. So pin is also pine regarding the pineal gland and the pine cone. It also means potato and chili, army soldier, spruce, women, badge, decoration, embarrassing, pain and torment, very, really, super, and a coop for poultry. It also means battery, which came up again today, another word with definition of battery, and an amount of electricity that holds, and the word literally den pin, which means torch or flashlight. The be and to come to an end, divide, share, and distribute. And again, the 1/8 barrel to tell a story. The light in the flashlight, the torch, to share and divide, to come to an end at 10:53, which is the Wheel of Fortune and the Knight of Swords, which, by the way, when I did the read in front of you, I couldn't find the mini deck card of the Knight of Swords. It's there somewhere, but he was the Where's Waldo today, the Knight of Swords. So conquering fears and healing for dreams to come true, with angels' help inspired by Metatron and the Rainbow Bridge, the arc of white light, the electricity spark, the wind beneath your wings, resisting or helping you along. It's always your choice. One-to-one, going with the flow. No need to push or pull. Just stay in the middle and go with the flow. Allow the universe to do its thing. The whispering bench of that shape of a sea and the salt river, which I was just in Phoenix, and that's the salt river there, but I was also getting the south of France where the salt and the fresh water meet, which is where Mary Magdalene would do a baptism there. And that's interesting too, because baptism came up today too. So go within for clarity, showering with a white diamond light all around you. Pause to come together for healing. Perhaps use the magnet above your head and then the healing hands of Archangel Sandalphon or whomever you resonate with. And then the Queen of Swords with priorities and that big bird energy of the bird seeing you as just like them, except really big, with a big rainbow in you. The rainbow pyramid with wings. And remember, wings is W of 2 U's and anointing each other. 1 of 2 anointing each other. The bow, the rainbow is the bow of rain or water, and the pyramid is the pyramid or the mid-fire or potato. The arc of emotions or water, mid-fire, protected by 2 U's in anointing each other. And I was literally getting this little picture here of a torch with an arc above it with the 2 points. So healing each other's burns with the ointment when the ego is out of your hands. The Page of Wands inspired by self-love and nurture, the shell in the womb, the life bulb, and the right angle, or a new perspective, where 1/4 of the rays lead home, which is 1/4 of the square, the circle is the right angle. It's only 1/4 there. There's still 3 other quarters there. There are 4 parts of the story of the shaman and the red and the root, and the 55 of the Ace of Swords, Excalibur, the truth of Excalibur. The TP of TP, but all TP and peace pipes is also the toilet paper and your peace pipes, making sure you go to the bathroom every day makes you feel good. And that's a way of transmuting food. And getting back to basics here, but the TP also comes up in the energy around that shape. And the eagle feather in the hair at 11:11, leap up the golden steps to answer the call with flame in hand. Ring keys in the left or at the right angle, dancing the 8 dance, perpetually reflecting compassion of pink and I don't know what I wrote there, but it has to do with the pink energy, and it might be the energy of pink and gold there. Or the pink weeping willows is what it is, right? The reflecting willows reaching out to each other. So as above, so below, self-love, spiritual love, and new love. And the yellow of the solar plexus, the quantum entanglement of joy and happiness. To be like the bee and pollinate the flower or the flower. the one who goes with the flow. As the magic of spring is coming and the solar plexus, the spring of quantum entanglement at 11:14, which is justice, and the 14 of temperance, which is patience and balance. It's taking a step off the beaten path to do your own thing. And taking it one step at a time, not being afraid. And the Mandelbrot or the Mandel bulb came up as well again, that shape of energy, a fractal. If you want to look that up, you can. Something that did come up about it was that it is a boundary that is a fractal. And I'm getting the shape of the Mandelbrot or the Mandel bulb as the heart, and then a circle underneath that heart as the solar plexus, again, of quantum entanglement. So now I'm going to go into the second one from today, which is a little bit more intense here, to say the least. I'll show you the picture. All right, so this is the second one from today. And so again, we have the underlying energy. This is the bottom of the deck, and these are actually underneath the bottom of the deck. So these are the underlying energies. I start at the top here and go across threes down to here, and then these three across, and then these are the last ones right here. And this is like if I get any overflow, because they still want me to pull cards, I usually put it down here as kind of like a addendum to the read. So this is from today, the 20th. And let's see here. This was done at 10:15 this morning. 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. 15 is the Shadow or Devil card. The underlying card was Let Go of Control with the Emperor, number 4. And the colors, we have gold, silver, yellow, blue, and then the after cards were white and pink. So that's a very soft pink, right? Very like blushing pink. So we have the gold and silver. I just want to say silver and gold, right? So that energy of the miner, you know, digging for gold. And what else came up here? And again, the yellow of the solar plexus, because obviously that's coming up here. The blue is the throat chakra. And then again, the white pink of that kind of baby pink, as I was holding a little baby girl in my arms yesterday. So I guess it's coming up for other people as well. We have water and air in this read. And that's it for the elements. And so the way this one starts at 10:36, which is the Wheel of Fortune, and the 36 of the Atlas card, 10 of Wands, with the weight of the world on your shoulders. Shower in that diamond white light. Again, it's been coming up a lot this week. Going within to the shadow to clarify. In the clarion call home to alignment, to listen and note or tone, perhaps. Let go. It's time for release of control. That's that underlying energy there. And again, being called to meditate before you go out and help others or do videos, or perhaps go in to connect with your twin in the way that came up the other day, as going into the astral realm first, and then going up those 8 golden steps into your personal Akashic room with your twin, with the whispering bench inside it. It was very interesting when I went in today, just before the video. I first saw myself as a little girl with 2 braids from the back going into the room, and then she started to get older, but I never saw her completely grow up until I sat down on the bench. It was just interesting what was coming up. I haven't seen myself with braids in a long time, with 2 braids as a little girl in a long time. And there was some resistance today. Not in a negative way, and just the masculine energy not being very open, as I'm not able to speak because this is reflecting the masculine not open to talk, right? It's that difficulty in speaking about something that, it's a pride issue, knowing you might have done something that really hurt somebody else and not wanting to take ownership of it because it hurts. That kind of energy. So the first card out for this read was water. So the element water has also been coming up a lot this week, how important it is to make sure you're drinking plenty of water. The vehicle of emotional well-being. And then the icosahedron also came up again, which is the 20-faced triangular crystal. And it literally translates as icosa is I matter, because you are matter or a thing. You are mass. And then the hedron of ivy or honor or face of solid. I honor face. Matter or mass of IV or something that continually flows, but ivy is also a vine, a continuous vine of honor, the grapevine or grapes of wrath as well. Water that is solid, right, which can also be ice. And then ether coming up that is solid, bright light that sharpens or cuts through or creates a prism when it cuts through crystal. The rainbow bridge, the white light arc from point to point, and the water and the sunlight according to Mu was coming up here. So again, very important in learning how we are transcending another energy, right? Because we're going from carbon to crystalline, from an iron core to a diamond core planet, and our DNA is changing to 12-strand DNA, right? So how is that affecting us, and how can we relate to that on a way that everybody can understand? So they're bringing up recently, and you might want to watch, there was a difficult video to watch. Now I can't remember if it was Michael Sala or I think it was Elena, with Dan Winter, is it? And he's a physicist, I think, or a mathematician. So he's, obviously it's very complicated to listen to, and it is a long video. So I'm going to give you little excerpts of it as I got downloads from that information. And it took a while to go through it because it was important for my translation. So one of the things that he brought up was that wind is to air as gravity is to ether, and ether creates mass. And we were just talking about the icosa, which is a mass. It's a matter or thing that we are. We're mass, right? We're humans. So the way things are going to change has to do with the relationship between wind and air, and then ether and gravity, right? Gravity is what holds us down on this planet, prevents us from being the toroidal field on both ends, right? Because the toroidal field, it explodes and implodes at the same time. So there should be energy shooting straight up and energy shooting straight down, except on Earth it isn't shooting straight down because we have gravity, so the bottom side is closed like the apple. So just, keep that reference in your mind as an easy way to understand something. So, so here was coming up that energy, that ether is that solid, right? We're talking about water becoming a solid and ether becoming a solid. But it was showing me from this card the bright light from the sun, this in the same way that I told you to put your bottles in the window to receive the sunlight, because the light coming through from the sun, it sharpens and cuts through the water that creates the prism in the sunlight, the rainbow bridge, the white light arc from point to point. So it's literally bridging the energy from source to your water according to Mu, which is Lemurian, right? So there's a stroke of color here with the rainbow, genius and luck, and aqua long was coming up as the aqua of the mother energy, and the longitude came up in Dan Winter's definition. I want to make sure I'm saying the right name. Hold on one second. So that video was when I was out in Phoenix. I got this huge download while I was out there. One second. Yeah, it's Dan Winter. Dan Winter, and it was Elena's video from February 4th, 2022, I believe. Okay. So one of the quotes he had said was, and there was another a French person on the video too, which was, he didn't speak as much and it was harder for him to understand because he had a very heavy French accent. But Dan Winter was very clear. It's just he speaks very quickly and he's very intelligent in what his expertise is. So it's kind of hard to follow, but you can do it if you take your time. So on February 5th, when I watched that, he was talking about that matter is made by ether, like the wind. The wind is created from air because of high and low pressures at the same time, the push and pull, right, like the quantum energy, being the same kind of thing with gravity from ether. He refers to ether as a superfluid, a medium of compressible charge. The longitude, so here's where the aqua long was coming up, the longitude waves, because he was really focused on the longitude waves, are gravity waves. The electric and magnetic are just two different right angles, is what he said, and that pain equals, and I'm not sure which one said which. Dan said most of this stuff, but I might quote something from the Frenchman as well. But pain equals fractals, bleeding charge. So it's like something, you know, that's sealed in a vacuum, and then there's a leak there. So it bleeds some of the energy charge. And the same as pain, like when we're bleeding out. It's that same kind of energy. And the essence of the electron shell geometry, and remember the shell is the Fibonacci sequence, the phi energy, and the construction wave interference implosion. So this was very interesting for me because I keep getting these downloads building on each other, and this was talking about how to interrupt the quantum field of the torus, right, the toroidal field, without interrupting the energy source, but yet directing at the same time. So again, compression becomes acceleration, just like in wind. When you have high and low pressures, you know, there's different weather that comes up from the different behaviors of the energy. So again, compression becomes acceleration. And the one thing that I can think of that really makes you understand the feeling of this is, you remember those, I don't remember what the toy is called, but you push it from both sides and it builds up a spin, just like a lot of the spin toys they have now where kids just pump it and it spins. But this was coming from both sides where you push both sides in and it builds up the spin. So spin was also very important here today in the explanations here on how we're going to understand the quantum energy and like how to fly a spaceship, which is what they were talking about with the frill energy or the ether energy or your source energy as a human, your meditation energy. And that you can light up a bulb just by standing in mud because you need that water conductor. So magnetism is the vortex of ether. I'm continuing to quote from their video that the UFO doesn't want the magnetism because that's part of the gravitational pull. And the Planck dimension is the key multiplied by phi, and then stress causes the charge to implode, which equals gravity. And again, that's like the bottom of the apple where it's sealed off, where the top is not sealed, so it's to infinity and beyond, right? So there's a lot of room to grow from the top there, or going upward. The universe is described as a dodecahedron, and it's 12-sided, but they're shapes of pentagons. And also Red Mercury came up in their video, and Red Mercury came up for me a couple weeks ago, and I don't know anything about Red Mercury, so it just came up randomly for me, and then he talked about it in his video. It came up briefly. And then for me, the aqua gold rose vortex, which keeps coming up around the heart, and the phi energy of that. And I was just talking about the heart yesterday, that I keep getting that the 0 point is actually at the plexus point below the heart, and then the phi explosion on the top of the toroidal field, or the hourglass, is actually the heart energy there. And then he talks a lot about the implosion, not the explosion part, that the V, that the energy directs towards the point of the V is the implosion, is where the transfer happens in going through a portal. And then today I was getting the Roadrunner and the Tasmanian Devil energy. So how do we go from the Tasmanian Devil, right, who just spins and makes the cyclone, into the Roadrunner who uses that energy to focus it on going really fast? And it's kind of like, you know, driving a stick shift and just letting the clutch out, where all of a sudden it just clicks in, but it takes a minute, and then all of a sudden it's like this being able to bring all that intense energy and use it in a formed, responsible way, which is what the Roadrunner is compared to the Tasmanian Devil, right? He's still really fast, but he's using this intense energy of the Tasmanian devil, and he's channeling it into something positive, right, that's useful to us. At 11:29, which is justice in the 29 of the Three of Wands, being present in the moment or dealing with your gifts. If the electric and magnetic are just two different right angles, as he stated in his video, or again, the right angle, which is 90 degrees, where are the other two, right? Because a circle has 4 90-degree angles. So there's 4 quarters, or where's the other half, which is 180 degrees? And remember, 180 is that 0 of source energy backing up the 18 of the purple moon, or the 0 point field. But where are the other two 90 degrees that add up to that complete circle of 360 degrees? So then it was 11:51 to 52 of the King and Queen of Swords. And again, Phi and Pi were coming together, and I haven't dealt with that in a while. I mean, I talk about them all the time, but not as them working together here. But the Phi is that energy of the toroidal field of exploding and imploding at the same time to create that 0 point. The Pi is coming up as the static energy, right? Because for me, it's the circle with the line down the middle, right? The circumference and the diameter. Just one second. This is my daughter. She always calls when I'm taping. She's got good timing. So the Phi is the explosion and implosion at the same time. The Pi is the static energy of the 0 with a line down the middle, which is, for me, it's code for the human embodiment of source, the circle, that's balanced in the middle, but not dancing yet between the masculine and the feminine, but it is a balanced human being. And then we go from the Phi of PHI to the PI of the Pi, and then the pin, which came up today again, PIN, is the answer for that. Because the pin, the Phi is uncontrolled, right, energy, upward and downward. The Pi is static and balanced, but it's not outside of ourselves, right? We're not expanding to the other realms yet. But the pin is the answer to that because it takes the H from the Phi and makes it just the end. So it kind of takes out the exponential in order to control and channel the energy. It contains it. The pinwheel comes up here because it's referencing to all the wheels, the water wheel, the spinning wheel, right? Because Gandhi is always seen with the spinning wheel. The water wheel has been coming up as how the kind of energy we're going to use. It's supposed to be something very basic that we can use to clean our ocean water, so we'll have free water for everyone. And then the pinwheel came up from Hydra yesterday, because I was talking about where I was told my original self was from Hydra. And notice that Hydra is hydration, again relating to water, to be of water, and again referencing the plasma ethers as well. It's called, and the Hydra literally is called, the Messier 83 is called the pinwheel galaxy, because it looks like a pinwheel. So here again, that pinwheel energy is the same energy of a camera shutter or your eye lens with the curved lines, like like anything that has curved lines, as opposed to like a propeller, which usually has straight lines. It doesn't have curved lines. I suppose some fans in your house may have curved planks on there, but you get the idea. Of the shutter, which has curved lines as opposed to straight lines. So the pinwheel, the water wheel, the spinning wheel, and then Hydra is coming up. You can check out Messier 83 if you want to see a picture of that. It's really pretty. And again, regarding the Phi energy, the Pi energy, the pin, which and then of course leads us to pine for the pine cone and the third eye as well. They're all related. The PHI, the PI, the pin, and then the pine cone, which again is the Fibonacci sequence. So the pine cone, the flowers, they're all based on that same arrangement. And then we get to the second card here at 11:53, which is Justice and the Knight of Swords. Where's Waldo today? And the second card out was the gold card, which is like the Ace of Cups and the Holy Grail. But it's number 16, which is the Tower, which is of epiphanies and sudden events, but also that sexual exchange, which is that, source energy. So another word for ether is also called frill. That's the way Elena Danana and the Palladians call it. It's frill, is that source energy. And what else came up top here? Oh, also the word fin was coming up, PHIN, in that whole sequence of words. So the sun coming through your water, the crystal of your water, And we are that frill. Remember, your bodies are mostly water, but you're also made of source energy, which is frill. So you have both water and frill in your body. So anything it talks about regarding how the sun breaks through your water bottle is saying the same happens to you, because you are water and frill. And you notice when you take phi, which is a circle with a line through the middle, but the lines are outside the circle, but it's actually not a circle. It's usually an oval or an ellipsis, which we were talking about the other day. It's like the pi is a full circle with a line down the middle, but then the phi is like the lines put pressure on either side of the circle, making it an ellipse or an oval, showing us how it's going from the pi of the circle with under pressure becomes the phi. And then, so the phi minus the pi, all you're left with is those lines outside the circle, which is the upper line is representing the exponent, or right, the exponential. Like if you were squaring something and you said 2 to the second power, that digit there, that is there, and then the base is there. But the base is usually just a code for like an element or something. It's describing what it is. It doesn't multiply it like the exponent on the top does. So those two energies came up, and that'll come up again in a second. But it was reminding me of, I took another picture today of the sun because there were planes going by. It was just like a picture I just posted a few days back or last week, where there were two trails of planes, flanking the sun, and that came up today, except there were two planes going east, and then another plane crossed the tree going the other way, going west, and it actually landed. I could tell it was for sure a plane because it started descending into the south, which is where our airport is. So that was kind of interesting, the way the two leftover lines of phi were mimicking the planes that I saw in the sky today, and that we're talking about flying spaceships without energy outside of ourselves. So, going to the next page. So I was looking up other words that may have definitions regarding fin, P-H-I-N, or actually P-H-I-N-E, because that would then incorporate the word pine into pin and phi and pi. And so all I found was Phineas, which is in the Old Testament, men including the son of Eli and a grandson of Aaron. And again, it's a priesthood as well. Fin, P-H-I-N, without the E, means Baptiste. So there's baptism also coming up, which just came up before. So it's also a coffee filter or just a filter in general, the fin. And Baptiste is used, the cloth that you use to wipe the child's head at baptism. But it's also translated from Gothic to, it means good, which is right where you want to be, right? Because you don't want to be at the extremes of amazing, because then you fall to the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Which is not good. But it also means to beat over and over, which is referencing the heartbeat and the 8 of the sine wave, right? That it beats over and over and over again. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? If you hear something that keeps getting beat over and over and over again, you're going to think of something negative, right? That someone's getting beat up. But it's actually referencing the beating of the heart. There's a continuous sine wave, which is the 8, the infinity symbol. To beat, to pound, whisk, whip, overcome, and also coin came up here as well. And it also means friend. So there's some other words that were coming up, but overall, that was the main energy. And to not repeat patterns was coming up here too. The other kind of definitions were coming up to shift. Opium, it was a definition that came up that dulls the pain in the senses, and to not be of that repeating patterns, to change it up now and then, right? So the P-H-I-N means Baptiste, good, filter, a constant beating of the heart. It also means battery, which again is that flame energy, that constant power behind the movement. And the friend, the natural cloth to dry the child's head after they've had water on their head or have had a shower, right? That's all you need, right? You are fine. You are good. As long as you have a beating heart, water, and a towel, and you are able to filter. That's all you need. And again, this has to do with the words all coming together of phi, pine, pin, pi, and fine, but spelled with PH. And then we come to 1221. I wanted to see if there's any difference between in the patterns of cones and flowers, right? Because there's nothing wrong with repeating patterns because that's what is in our universe, right? The Fibonacci sequence is in everything. And so I wanted to see, was there a difference between the pine cone sequence and the flowers? And it's not really. They're both based on the Fibonacci sequence. But the cones are produced by gymnosperms or gymnosperms. Don't know how it's pronounced, but it's spelled gym, like a gym, and then no sperms. Whereas the flowers are produced by angiosperms. And of course, I worked in angiography for 25 years, so it was, they always bring up words that you will relate to. So the pine is the gym, no sperms, and the flowers or the rose is the angiosperms. Right, so we're looking with the angiograms, you're looking at the vessels, you're looking at the veins and the arteries and putting contrast dye in there to light them up, right? And at the gym, it's coming up as gym, no sperm. So it's like a gym without men, which would be kind of a weird thing, right? But the cones were also coming up as the bottom of the teepee. You know how the teepee always has the X at the top, like the lines continue above the top of the teepee? Because they want to show you the hourglass energy of the 0 point field, because the teepee itself is the cone, right? That's the part of the bottom of the apple that's closed off, right? It's gravity holding it down to the earth. Whereas the little V on top of the teepee is showing you the exponential energy that's still available to infinity and beyond above you. So there is this reference. With the cones, the pine cones, they have scales, and they have separate cones of female and masculine, whereas the petals have the masculine and feminine within the flower themselves. And, of course, the rose comes from the bush and the lilies come from bulbs. So there was an interesting comparison between the rose and the lily. The rose is thorny and lasts a long time, but the lily is a bulb. It's very gentle but short-lived. And again, the lily is referenced as the crown, whereas the rose is referenced as the heart, and the phi energy is described as the rose. So the pineal gland, when you look at it literally, it looks like a Christmas bulb. Those little Christmas bulbs? It looks like a Christmas bulb in a holder, like a bulb. But it also reminded me of an artichoke, which is interesting. An artichoke is a very good vegetable to eat, by the way. But as soon as I saw artichoke, I was getting like the Arctic choke. So I don't know what's going on with the Arctics right now and Antarctica. But again, the pine, the phi, the pin, the pi, and the being fine or good. And that's where you want to be, right? That's that contentment of being in the middle, being balanced human, and then being able to expand outside yourselves from the pi, which is just within yourself, the 3D human, and then expanding like the phi, which then collapses a little bit into ellipsis or an oval, because there's pressure coming in from both sides in order to cause that expansion of the exponential number on the top, right? Multiplying the energy, but yet the sub number just being an identifier, like again the bottom of the apple, because the cone doesn't it's limited because we're under a gravitational pull to stay on the earth, so we don't have unlimited expansion downward, we only do upward, so to speak. But it's coming up as transferring from the phi energy with the H, that as we go through this process, the H is the N with that exponent on top of it. So if you take that exponent off, then you're left with the N, which is representing us being able to control that energy. Because the whole process here and the information that's coming up is how do we how do we move that energy in a controlled fashion with consciousness, basically. So we have the subscript and the superscript, and the superscript is the exponent or the power, right? To what degree are we expanding here? And usually the subscript is a chemical formula name or something that describes what you're using. So that can reference, the human's name, whereas the top is representing the expansion that they could potentially achieve. So the pine equals the pin energy. The phi, without the need for the exponent or the h, that the h can become the n without the 1 on top, that little number on top, and grounded with the chemical formula. So I went to a site called findle.com, which talks about phi and pi and Fibonacci sequence, and I'd probably showed up there before, years ago when I was looking into this. But fractals are just repeating curves, like in the Fibonacci sequence, that they keep repeating over and over and over again. They have to be symmetrical, obviously, for them to keep repeating in the same way, like pine cones, pineapples, sunflowers, lilies, daisies, and roses are all in the Fibonacci sequence, as well as insides of fruits, bananas, apples also, and seashells, etc., and the dimension of the human body and the DNA. That's why it's called the code of life. And then it just goes into more about the golden ratio, but you can certainly look that up and about the equation and the lines and the 1.618. And then pi, of course, is the circle with the line down the middle with the diameter. And did you know that rivers bend to the ratio of pi? And pi relates to zebra stripes and leopard spots. Pi and gravity are related as well. So it's kind of showing you the difference between the pi and the phi energies and what they're related to, which I liked. It was very simple. So the Fibonacci spiral gets wider with every quarter turn by a factor of the ratio of phi, the 1.618. And then it reminded me of the magnitude of light that came up for me in my safety pin technical drawing that I'd done for you guys. And the magnitude of brightness is 2.512, because I'd done a calculation that the magnitude of brightness divided by pi, or 3.14, equals 0.8 exactly, which is the 8 of the dance between the masculine and the feminine. So it was very significant at the time I found this. And so the magnitude of light has to do with how your eyes can see the stars, So one of the, in my technical drawing about my safety pin, the first thing I drew was the pi symbol of the line across the 2 lines down, and with the circle. So 2 circles with lines down the middle and then a cap on the top. It looked like, a cap and gown type of student graduating. But it's 2 balanced humans with a toggle and anchor and support system and the housing on top, keeping the 2 circles together. One is more static without movement of the tail, if you know what the pi symbol looks like. So let me just show you real quick so you have a visual reference there, right? So this is the two pies, right, as the masculine and the feminine, and then coming together in the pi symbol, right? So it looks like a graduate here, where one is static and the other one has more connections. So one with housing and one is more static. One is more directed. One is pi and one is phi, or perhaps it expands more, but it's capped as well on top. So that was the old 3D, right? So the magnitude of brightness, how well the human eye can see brightness of a star, like, so if something is a magnitude of 1, you have to multiply that by the 2.512 to get to the next level, like of 2 magnitude brightness. But it's actually, the lower the number, the brighter the star is. So what had come up for me years ago when I made this diagram was that if you are the brightest star there, or basically a magnitude of 1, it's just an example, it doesn't have to be an accurate number of magnitude, but if you are a 1 magnitude, it was coming up as the twin flame, right? That 100% you can see their aura. If you were a soulmate, it was coming up like 39.81% brightness, right? Because if you take 39.81 and multiply that times 2.512, you then get 100%, which would be the next level. But the 100% obviously is much brighter. So it's coming up as the twin flame, like in a pool rack, right? The top ball is the twin flame energy, and then the rest is the soulmate energy. We're coming up as 39.81 brightness. It's not as easy to see their aura. And then it went down to the 6th magnitude, which was only 1%, and you literally can't see the aura at all. So it was relating to the magnitude of brightness and how well, and the vibration of the twin flame, and how that relates to the auric field. It was very interesting the way it came up. And there's actually some other, I was getting ranges of sound vibrations. I have to look up that page. But anyway, we end up from the pi energy to, this is still pi energy, but really the lines expanding past there is the phi energy, which I have down here as well, as you can see in some of my notes. So this is the phi energy side by side, but we end up here with nothing in them, right? Because that's when there's so many roads leading to the center that it becomes blank again, because it's ever flowing, right? There's nothing stopping the energy, where all roads lead home to 0 point. And the 8 then represents 2 humans without housing or division, which is the unity consciousness. So the brighter the object, the lower its magnitude in integers. That was just some definitions about brightness and magnitude. The first magnitude, the brightest stars. A star of magnitude of 5.0 is 2.512 times brighter than one of 6.0. And they listed things as examples like the sun, the sun's apparent magnitude, because remember, apparent is how we see it with our human eyes, but that doesn't mean that's actually how bright it is, because it depends on how far away the planet is, or the star is. So the sun comes up as 26.7, minus 26.7, so minus is even brighter. And then full moon is minus 11, Sirius is 1.5, minus 1.5. And then it goes all the way up to the fainter stars, which are actually positive 30, which then 30 of the union energy came up. So the new moon, from my safety pin diagram, I had documented that when the safety pin opens and we need a refill, it's a new moon charge. And at the full moon is after the vacuum's been created in the pin and the masculine uses up the energy, there's a full moon release there. That's the discharge. But when it gets charged and it closes, that creates a vacuum inside the pin. So again, referencing all these energies of phi and pi, and the H, which represents the ladder of DNA, but H also represents the number 8, which again is that continuous flow. And in my diagram too, I was referencing PP as the fluid, the twins fluid in a vacuum. And that's what I'd written at the time. So again, it's coming up again today, very much about the energy I'm trying to get to. The twins fluid in a vacuum. The 2 pi's together, plus the DNA equals the phi, because that's the H of the ladder. So the phi also separates. If you have 2 phi energies, it literally translates from the 2 phi energies of the ovals with the line through here under compression. It's also 11 with the 2 1s plus 0 0, which is the infinity symbol. So going from the grounding connection of the pi energy without the etheric connect to the phi energy, which is expansive above and below, except it gets capped off at the bottom by gravity, and then symbolically it separates into 11 of alignment and the infinity symbol of, again, the 2 humans, embodiment of source. The alignment of the infinity, the torus. And remember, the L, EL, equals the L, capital L of the right angle, which also equals 11, which is alignment. And it also equals the 6 lines on top of each other, which also equals the EE of energy exchange. And that E breaks down to 1 plus 3 lines down, which means 1 is equal and congruent to the other. So that, again, being equal and sovereign next to each other, and constantly beating, or the sine wave, over and over again. So this is all referencing to Finn and Batista. And what else? So here's, I actually drew it. I forgot that I drew it down here. So this is kind of what was on my diagram of my pin drawing. And you can see it also, you know, references. It could look like a penis or a rocket. And again, the TP is down here. I drew it. And also the light bulb over here. This is what the pineal gland looks like. Okay, so just trying to get to the energy of how we're going to use our consciousness, how we're going to use our frill energy to do things that we haven't been able to do in the 3D, how we're going to be able to fly a ship without energy outside ourselves, you know, kind of like that energetic backpack that we hold on to with as our shadow, which transmutes into energy we can use. It's all about that compression energy, of compressing from both sides of the push and pull of the quantum energy, and then how to direct it, how to use, what do we do to direct that energy. And then the ellipsis, not the ellipses of the oval, but the ... came up because that references the space between, which has to do with the plasma ethers, and you having space to meditate in order to go into that place and channel the ether directly. And then I was getting the energy of the lab tube in a centrifuge, right? And a lot of times you need to have a refrigerated centrifuge, so it's very important about the cold energy, because it has to, in order to separate things, right, when you separate plasma from red cells, it has to spin very quickly in a centrifuge, but also cold, and it's in a sealed tube, so there's a vacuum there. So it's the same type of energy of how we separate cells and plasma, creating that cyclone in a vacuum regarding hot and cold pressure at the same time. The human in a vacuum tube, and literally being that power pack of the push and pull. And then, of course, you don't move as quickly as the cyclone. Once you contain that energy and then focus it in a certain way, then you can control it. And again, like that toy and releasing the clutch, it comes together just right. So I hope some of that I don't expect you to understand everything I was saying, but there is stuff that you will hold onto, and then other stuff will come up later that you'll now understand because of whatever came up that you did understand today. So the revving energy of revving your engine when you're, you know, when you're switching gears, and the revving of the toys where you pump them and it spins, all that kind of energy is coming up is very important. And the company Rev came up, which is a robotics company, REV. And 7 years was also coming up. And it'll actually be 7 years since I met my twin coming up this July. So that was significant, as well as the dates were coming up. And then moon in June, the silver moon in June was coming up here from the reed. So back to the process for the masculine to the feminine, to the sunlight here. So they're saying to reverse the process. So in my pin example, you're collecting energy from the sun into the feminine, then goes into the masculine to create the vacuum. And it was showing, you know, just like you learn to do anything, you back up through it. And so it's saying to go backward, where the masculine brings the energy to the feminine and then gives it back to the sun. So it's like both of those energies happening at the same time. So at 151 to 152, the King and Queen of Swords and the Water Dolphin, the icosahedron and the dodecahedron, which come together in the universal energy for the golden ratio, or perhaps rations here, as the numbers 7 and 16 came up, which 16 is written that way, 16/7. 16 is the tower event of sudden events, epiphanies, and sexual exchange of that source energy, of the flowers and the pine cones to infinitum, because we're going into the springtime. The sun has, you know, you're kind of like, the sun comes in all winter to take care of the plants in the ground. It like keeps the cold is preserving them in a way that we don't understand. The sun all winter is there to help load up. It's like building up energy for the spring. You know, perhaps why the flowers bloom in areas like ours, but not in hotter areas, right, where they don't get that winter. As the flowers blossom, so do hearts, with sudden replenishment here. Metatron and Metatron's rainbow bridge are the arc, which is just a white light, because white is the rainbow. And there's no ahs about it. Noah's Ark, flying from one point to the other. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a spaceship or dodecahedron. Inner child, what weighs on you? The gravitational pull weighs on you. Or Atlas keeping you down. How do we stop the wind to stop gravity and create that vacuum in order to channel that energy in the way we want to use it? Hear and know me. No ahs, arc, or aha moments. Eureka vacuums, as 2 by 72 equals that 144. And again, the 1,000 suns as you get to the crown. No ahs is Noah's ark. And the aha moments, the eureka and the vacuums, the 2 by 72 that equals the 144, getting to the crown of 1,000 suns. At 2 o'clock is double zeros behind the number 2 of the divine feminine. 1 and 2 right angles. And then I was getting, so it's referencing the number 144. So the 144 is the 1 of 1, and then the 2 4s are the 2 right angles that we talked about earlier. And then one good ship lollipop was coming up, which is so funny, because not only did it come up in my reads this week about the good ship lollipop, because it's a spaceship, not, or an airplane rather, not a ship, but my great nephew's party, his name is Oliver, and they call him Olipop. So there's another confirmation there about the good ship lollipop. So the 144 of the 1 in unity and the 2 right angles, or the 1 good ship lollipop, and little orphan Annie perhaps. And the word Anna came up as very significant the other day. And Oliver, the name Oliver, is the O of the human embodiment of source with the liver. And what is liver? The one who lives and also grows back and regenerates, comes back again. The cosmos mirrors you with the number 20 and 20 points, points to make arcs between, 12 strands or faces in the dodecahedron, do of the 2 and the deca of the 10, which is 2 plus 10, but then we also have the 20 points, which is the 2 times 10, which 2 times 10, which is 20. So 12 strands and then 20 points, and then 30 arcs between those points or connections, which 30 is also the union again. Point to point and flying diamonds. Diamonds is also diamonds, which means 2 almonds, or 2 pyramids, base to base, pushing and pulling into and out of the Merkaba field. So if you put 2 pyramids together, bottom to bottom, it creates a diamond. But if you push those 2 diamonds farther together, it then becomes the Merkaba. So that's the push and pull. It's just imagine the Merkaba spinning. It's spinning because it's pushing and pulling within, like a vacuumed gravitational pull within the center of the Merkaba, because the 2 pyramids coming together. I don't know if they're actually moving back and forth, or there's just a sealed chamber in the middle that's moving back and forth automatically that's actually powering the Merkaba to spin. So that's that same energy that I've been describing is what they're trying to get to here. I don't have a scientific background, so, I mean, I worked in a hospital, but I don't have a science background. So let's see here. Okay, so yeah, and again, I was getting that vroom vroom energy of shifting and the toys that you push, like they compress and it causes to spin. So the 2 roofs literally put together, because when you have the 4-sided pyramid, it looks like 2 roofs put together to make the diamond, but without housing, without the lower part, nothing to ground, just the crystal Merkaba in the sun. That magnetism is a vortex of ether. And remember the energy coil, Cryan had brought this up, that the energy coil does have a magnetic current through it, but I guess it's such a small system that we don't see it. It's like the lymphatic system, which we've only discovered recently, or been able to get into in the past recent years, and actually my father was related to that. But I feel like this energy of the magnetic current within the energetic coils within the human body are so small that they didn't understand them. I still don't know if they've discovered them or not, but Cryan was said they were undiscovered at the time he was talking about it, but I don't know what year that was. So it was 2:14 at this time. By the way, I looked at the clock last night at 2:14 too, which of course is Valentine's Day. And then the transition, again, the Valentine's Day, we're talking about the electric coil with the magnetic current running through it, right? The push and pull, the feminine, the masculine. And the transition to the crystal line from the carbon the iron core to the diamond core, the Merkaba and the centrifuge of the Merkaba pushing and pulling within itself, where they overlap. It feels like there's a vacuum there that causes the spin, or it just pumps or vibrates so fast like a perpetual vacuum. From coal to diamond, just like coal is under extreme pressure for a long, long time, the sustained pressure causes this beautiful diamond and that diamond energy. The rev toys like cars, but in both directions, pushes it upward, pumping to spin and yet upward at the same time. And again, that company REV came up, REV, which is Robotic Enhanced Vehicles. And it said WowWee as well there. So the sword from the stone, back to the cards, and the needle from the haystack with 30 pieces of silver of the silver warrior of light, and the 6 of the silver moon in June, and the unions in a eureka moment with Archangel Sandalphon or Saint Dolphin, the Lyran connection on the Fool's Journey, with Mother Earth and qubits with a Q, which is quantum information about the quantum version of the classic bit, the binary bit, physically realized with a 2-state device, a 2-state or 2-level quantum mechanism there. The example they were giving is the spin of an electron, in which 2 levels can be taken as a spin up and a spin down, or polarization of a single photon, in which the 2 states can be taken to be the vertical polarization or the horizontal polarization. But in classic system, a bit would have to be in one state or the other. They can't be in the push and pull at the same time, and there's always a lapse between. It's not instantaneous in the shift of like the alternating currents. However, in quantum mechanics, it allows for the qubit to be in a coherent superposition, just kind of like the exponent position of both states simultaneously. And this, of course, this is just coming from Wikipedia. But the binary digit of 0 or 1 is, of course, how computer information is explained. Averaged over both states, a binary digit can go up to 1 bit of Shannon information, where a bit is the basic unit of information. But just like in, alternating currents, it would have to go as fast as possible, because there's this what they call a forbidden zone, where it can't be instantaneous in the back and forth energy. Then it goes to quantum in order to do that. So quantum entanglement describes that, because you understand better than anyone if you're a twin, because it's you're actually 2 as 1 people, but you're actually separate. So it's like having the 2 bits where you can send, we talked about the communication of this yesterday, the day before too, where you send out the one end of the communication, but then the message becomes instantaneous because you're connected to the other end that you left, because you're still 1. It's that same energy. So the quantum entanglement allows 2 to be as 1. So there can be instantaneous flow in 2 directions. And it's called here coherent superposition of both. You cannot measure the qubit because it interferes with it. And that's a lot of what Dan was talking about is interference that doesn't stop the flow. It's like, I'm trying to think of the word that he was using. It interrupts, but in a positive way, without creating destruction of the energy flow. So you cannot measure the qubit because that would normally destroy its state. Its coherence, and irrevocably would disturb the superposition state. So it's that process, what he was talking about is the process which you can interrupt it in order to direct that flow, but without disturbing the ability to instantaneously reflect energy from one location to another. It's very interesting. So Archangel Sandalphon and you are on a journey with Excalibur and the lyre, or the Lyran, and the qubits and the purple moons. A find that leads to future ancestors and energetic exchange with them, with appreciation and healing in the quantum leap, with family circles and satisfaction as the sun rises at 2:48, and it was literally sounding like spring outside. But then when I went out a little bit later today, it was still freezing out there. But I was hearing music out there in the sun. It just felt like springtime. And then Big Bird was coming up again. And Michael Salla reminds me of the Muppet Eagle. So I was cracking up because he looks like a big bird too. With rainbow triangles, or try an angle, a new perspective, and the golden wings to use in your God self, or anointing each other. The 60 degrees times 3 of the triangle, and the 2 wings, which is like the petal of the Fibonacci sequence, and the 180 degrees, which is 0, source backing up the purple moon at 0 point field, with the priorities of the Queen of Swords, or Big Bird, in other words. And then the teepee came up again, whereas the teepee is the cone that's limited going down, but shows you the X on top because it's showing you the exponential energy that flows upward. The cone bottom and the open top, reflecting the weeping willows of compassionate love. The busy bee pollinating magic joy as we're going into spring, and the King of Cups needing to detach from drama and look up to see these things. The hermits to take action here, and then movement needed, with the Queen of Cups, light body, and her chakras. And remember, chakras is the shocking of Ra, and Ra is the sun god. But also what today was coming up is the shock system absorbers, just like on your car, shock absorbers. So the chakras are like shock absorbers for your body, directing the energy upward. Present to Madonna when blue, and remember Madonna means my wife, or husband and wife, my wife gifted in the new dawn of the high vibe, welcoming back to the sunny valley with no shadows and the shadow of death. And messages in a bottle that has now landed on the beach. It's ready to be opened for your inner self to come out and communicate. Where land meets sea meets sky meets I am. And the Akashic wisdom review here with the King of Swords purifying his innocence. With the life bulb of the womb and the compassion of white and pink and the baby energy there. The shell in a bulb. The diamond in the wings is like diamond is 2 almonds. In the wings are 2 eyes. Like the propeller. And they were showing literally the picture of the diamond and the shell look like the same thing. Just slightly different shapes because the diamond is more angular and the shell is more rounded. But the diamond versus the pearl within the shell. And again, bringing up the degrees of the pyramids in Giza of 51.83 degrees, which they were wondering, do they really mean anything? What is one better than the other, right? Are they really tall, narrow pyramids any less potent? And I heard someone talking about it a couple weeks ago, and it was literally had to do with people who had experienced the energy. And Giza is much more of a calming energy, whereas the much taller ones are more about manifesting energy. You know, there's really tall, skinny, pointy pyramids. And I have a whole page where that was coming up for me in a download regarding different ranges of degrees that had to do with different feelings. See if I can, that might have been in that same energy. Just give me 1 second. I want to see if I have that for you guys. Yeah, here it is. So I was getting ranges for what's peaceful. And what I was getting, and this had to do with not degrees, it had to do with DNA, right? So you know how we've been being told recently that we're only using about 30% of our DNA, and we're increasing to 44%, and you know, and eventually up to 80%, which is where the Pleiadians are supposed to be. So I was getting categories of percentage DNA and what they mean, and what was coming up is like the 44.44 to 55 group, and they were all coming up as 4 digits, like 44.44 to 55.55 group, which contains the 51.15, which reflect each other, and the 52.25, which both reflect each other, was supposed to be a very peaceful energy. And then up to the 77.77 and 88.88 is the bliss group. And the 66.66 to 77.77 was coming up as the manifesting group. So it was very interesting how that was coming up. And of course, as Cryon has brought up before, that 100% use of your DNA is spontaneous healing. So yeah, some interesting information that was coming up. So they had referenced here on the Law of One website where Ra states that if the height of the pyramid is 1, then the sum of the 4 base sides is 1.16 or 81.72 degrees, very steep. And again, I was getting like the steeper it is, the more you're manifesting and getting to that bliss or spontaneous healing state. So that that synced with what I had gotten on my download from that day. So the sharper it is, the more of the white purification energy, that high vibe energy is coming up. And then the higher degrees, like, you know, at a more than a 90-degree angle, is a very low pyramid, right? So it's very calming, self-love kind of energy of compassion. Diamond wings and the shell light bulb, the propeller and the pyramids coming up there. Yes, the Merkabas with diamond light and the push and pull of quantum energy here. The underlying energy from the read at 315, which is the Empress and abundance and 15 of the shadow, is the white diamond light and purifying the shadow before your call to release and let go. The first column was all about the crystal water and the sun and the weight of the world, regarding gravity, to hear and know me, understand gravity and how you live in this world, to remove the sword from the stone and solve the puzzle, with gratitude and healing, with family bridging forward in a leap of faith to the unknown as we go forward, and the Akashic records. The second column here is the Holy Grail, which is the hole at the Y in the road, which is 0 point field. And Grail is God's train, or the love train, with the 12 strands of crystalline DNA mirroring from the cosmos with Saint Dolphin. And there's that fin in Dolphin that we talked about. And the qubits, and sharing with family, sunrise, and self-satisfaction. The third column was all about the Metatron Bridge and Noah's Ark, inspired by the third flame and the air that feeds the flame. The diamond broken down into cubits and triangles. The quantum leaps in the 90 degrees and new perspectives of the 51.83 degrees. And the King of Swords and the reflection of the Mary Magdalene, Queen of Cups. After all, the 11 of the cubits in the Queen's chamber in Giza is in alignment with her King of Hearts at 323, which is the Empress and the 23 of the King of Wands. And Big Birds. Big Birds is B, capital B is 13, IG, and then B again, IRDS, Big Birds, which is transition to I God and transition to I am on path at 325, which is again the Empress and the 25 of the Knight of Wands. All right, so let's get back. I know it was really long today, but I had to bring it up in case anybody was interested there. It's a lot of information, and I won't necessarily retain it all down the road there, so I want to get it out there. So a real quick message of the day before I go on to the main read. So here's the quick message of the day. It was done last night. And this 4-deck read is the Animal Spirit deck, the LENORMAND Reverie, the Gilded Tarot, and the KIPPER deck. So the message of the day, the underlying energy was the Beaver, the Lilies, the 7 of Pentacles, which is the Divine Feminine's heart in the SIRIAN Starseed deck. And then the Great Fortune card here. So hardworking Beaver, spiritually mature, the King of Swords union and reaping rewards, inspired by great fortune. The Octopus, Dragon, and Beaver, and I was getting October, Dr. Beaver coming up here. The Octopus teacher, all hands, looking deep into self and working hard and giving a damn. Lucky in love with the romantic pup wanting someone to take the lead. Home and stability of one-to-one direction in spiritual union with the King of Swords. detoxing conflict with the Emperor reversed, choosing a new path, and ending an emotional cycle and negative self-talk. About third party, tower event, sudden event, epiphany, and or sexual exchange, in needing truth or divided about reaping rewards and the family tree. A mature man committed to the Queen of Cups, working hard on anxiety issues. Marriage, abundance, and the King of Wands with paperwork, perhaps excited by great fortune. The first section here is the swans, the zebra, the fox, and the cobra. The swans reflecting the power lady present to the Empress and the weight of the ship about to come in. The zebra awake to mountainous completion and taking in the moment with community, Knight of Cups. The fox making a breakthrough and struggling to find a way out of chains with mature, loving woman. And the cobra is burdened by Atlas at night, and the King of Cups walking away impoverished here. That could be feeling like a little boy, unless it is a child that's walking away impoverished. Reflecting and celebrating, about to burst out with lover's burden, with Pisces, Gemini, Taurus upright, Libra reversed. Cappy and Cancer both upright here as well at 124, which is the Magician and the Queen of Wands. At 125, which is the Magician and the Knight of Wands, we have the second section of the hyena, the horse, and the frog. The hyena is feeling pushed by friends about a journey of despair, or the pair. With the horse and the power man out in the cold with empty room, and the frog in the rain, the fox is leaving the hen house to get their wish or celebrate in some kind of honoring here. With soulmates and friends, perhaps who have been apart from each other, or out in the cold celebrating, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Pisces here. The third section here, and by the way, Love is Blind was coming up as far as what was on the tube. And so the third section is the oyster, the crow, the mouse, and the fish. With their feelers out, the crows call to anxious mouse and fish out of water. The oyster clammed up or on magic adventure, falling into a message, like into a dream, in the vehicle of infiltration here. And that can be water as well. The crow conflicted and being exposed, uncomfortable on the wounded warrior's path. The mouse-loving man with a rose for the Queen of Wands, perhaps the thief who stole their heart, and the fish out of water in a public meet, judgment, or the hermit who could expose death or an end, or somebody who cheated death. After a fall and or uncomfortable emotions of the Queen of Wands and the hermit. We had Gemini, Leo, Aquarius, and then Aries reversed and Virgo upright, and Cancer as well. The fourth section here was the starfish, otter, snake, and fire ants. The starfish and the little otter curious about the collective awakening, or the gathering to see the event. The starfish inspired by a letter of the Knight of Swords delivery man, or with concerns of martyrdom. The otter loving lady presenting with gifts, and the King of Wands upright, courtship under control. The snake collective is choosing a door, an energetic exchange in the dance of the man and the woman. The masked tango. The fire ants closing in at 144, the 2x2 or 72, with a key to freedom and disconnect or at a distance, with the lady 28 who is expecting. The Knight of Swords upright with a message from the King of Wands, an energetic exchange or arrows of love perhaps, or a lot of back and forth in communication or travel from a distance, expressing concerns about the lady in waiting and the Emperor's courtship and the masks we hide behind. And here was Aries and Leo at 148, which is the Magician and the Eight of Cups. Okay, now we go back to the main read on the table. If I can find it. Here we go. Okay. All right. So here's the read on the table. So you can see it from above. Okay, it is a 7-deck read for those of you not familiar. The SIRIAN STARSEED deck is the main deck for the read. And here we go. At 6:55, I cut the deck, which is 6 of the Lovers, 55 of the Truth, of Ace of Swords. At 7:05, of Crystals and Stalls came up. And crystals can be like Christ, but it also can be cry stalls, like purging. So there could be some purging because to create stalls here at 7:05, which is the Chariot and the Hierophant. I finished clarifying at 7:19, which is the Chariot and the Sun. And the major arcana were Indigo, which is the Magician, and the Lovers. Before the read, the Wheel came up with Abundance, which is the Empress, and Transition, which is Death. And after the read, Reason, or the Emperor, came up. So you had both the Empress and the Emperor here in the, before the read and after the read. So they are separated by the read. And within the read is the Indigo Magician and the Lovers. 2 Cups, 1 Wand, 3 Pentacles, 3 Swords. So we have 21 and 33, which is completion of the world, and the 33 of the unity Christ consciousness there, standing up for oneself. And the King of Pentacles and the Page of Swords were the only court cards in the read. We had double 1s, double 2s, 4s, and 5s here. Of 11, Justice, 22, the Fool's Journey, 44, the 4 of Cups, Grounding, Integrating of Love, and the 55 of Excalibur, the Ace of Swords. We also had significantly 4, 5, and 6, pick up sticks, which can also reference the 40, 50, and 60. 60 is where we manifest spontaneously into. 8 is the dance, the strength, and manifestation of dreams, and then 10 coming up as the 1-0 code that we talked about today, but also manifesting your destiny of that high vibration. Let's see what else came up. 68 of the Page of Pentacles, 89 of 5, 9, 10, begin again, come back to the center after you expand. 56 of the 2 of Swords also came up, as well as the 12 of the Hanged Man, 23 of the King of Wands, 34 of the 8 of Wands, and the Arrows of Love, as well as the 45 of the 5 of Cups, and dealing with some grieving, any kind of loss or regret. The code line was all, there were no numerology cards on the code line today. The numbers were 63, coming from 58 and 5. 63 is the 9 of Swords, which is that suffering in silence kind of card. It's also associated with parenting in the numerology deck. So the code line here translated into a source key with the number 58, which is the 4 of Swords, which I often see as the 5D connection between the twins. The 4 of Swords 5D connection with the Moral Man, Indigo, and the 5 of Wands, which can be a group, but also can be conflicted about a message that is sweet. Also the energy of the past and bygones, putting something to rest. The Moral Man, Indigo, with a group or in pursuit, with the Page of Swords star, that could be Child Star, or a message about stardom or healing, and the Page of Swords climbing the ladder to be or to beat the others, perhaps, right? In order to win, right? To be something, to be worthy. So we also have the energy of dirt, the liver again, and the heart. The intention and purpose being the key of the freedom to dance, to tithe, or be in that high vibration, to go up or raise, to get on, be sufficient. The 5 of Wands, the fight, the pursuit of happiness, of the Page of Swords star, to be or to beat, perhaps to be or to be beaten, right? Like if they're not, it's like, it's taking no prisoners. I either succeed or I'm nothing, right? And it's also the contrast between just to be and be happy and know you're worthy no matter what, or be the one to beat. There's a lot of contradictions coming up there. The heart, the intention, to know the key of the 5D connection of either stalking, performing, and acting and seeking the message to be, or perhaps the spindle on the spinning wheel. So again, the spindle and the spinning wheel coming up again also could be referencing the spinster of the woman who may be cold as ice, but referencing that spindle and the spinning wheel I mean to shower or bestow liberally in conflict, game, group, or the pursuit, in a message from the stars to be and exist. The Six of Cups was the first card in the underlying energy there. Okay, so we had the first underlying card right here at the bottom with the mini cards on top. And below that was the Ace of Cups upright, the Wheel reversed, Abundance or the Empress reversed, the Two of Wands reversed, which is the Twin Flame card, and then the Transition card upright, which is the Death card. So self-love, spiritual love, or new love, perhaps received in a twist of fate, with the Empress reversed or lack of abundance, and no options in transition here at 753, which is the Chariot, and the Knight of Swords, which is also the Catapult energy. With a falling out in the past, a bad childhood or difficult kids, receiving passion, new project from injustice of coming together, coming clean, getting clean, or cleaning up the act or space. With the Queen of Swords reversed and the Wounded Warrior, or Libra and Taurus both reversed, the Empress reversed and the King of Cups upright, and the Knight of Cups reversed, jealous, in a fight with Scrooges, the Empress reversed, and the King of Cups upright, with Atlas and burdens and hard work, or perhaps too much weight. With the Ten of Cups reversed, family, either an ending of an emotional cycle or an unhappy family, or a cycle is just so over, with the Hermit shedding light on the Queen of Pentacles reversed, without options here at 802, which is the dance of the Divine Feminine. Needing to take a step, but the next step is a long way down, or there's no water to dip their toe into first. Grounding and integrating with the Knight of Cups reversed and the Sovereign reversed, who's not sovereign at all, and the Emperor reversed. Insincere behind the curtains, perhaps. Nowhere to put their roots down, or bored Knight of Cups reversed, who may be moody, or the Sovereign who's wanting to spend, and the Emperor reversed, without control, perhaps with children affecting their love life, and that you deserve love here. At 8:08 p.m. here, with Two Cups, the Two of Cups lovers coming together in reunion with the Queen of Cups, present to the Seven of Pentacles reversed, implementing a plan. Someone being carried in a romantic tryst with flame. No more karmic ties or sex in the chair, or Queen, and that can be teenagers too, or Queen of Cups, Mrs. Blake Carrington, no more third party involved, with pride in the number 19 of the Sun and exposure of the Empress reversed, the Queen of Wands reversed, and the Page of Pentacles reversed. And what have they been up to? Between mother and daughter and child, or lack of abundance for the Queen of Wands reversed, who missed an opportunity, or mother and children in need of help. But perhaps they're too proud to ask for it at 8:20, which is the dance of manifesting your dreams, and the 20 of Judgment. Falling from grace after the Page of Pentacles is truth, the Queen of Wands came together to hold on to money, knowing there's good news, that it was to arrive soon, about a divorce, a break from religion, establishment, or a Taurus, or they'd be blind not to see what's going on here. Blinded to the shadow people behind the scenes, keeping to themselves and then using reputation in a divorce, or getting attention due to a break in a divorce, or an eye transplant here, or can't believe their eyes. An opportunity to tell the truth. As the Queen of Wands Aries, perhaps with friends or family, with cards close to their chest, blindsided in a divorce perhaps, or a breakup or a break away from a religion or establishment or societal norms in general, in a falling out, in a negative past or difficult children, but with no options, and the Emperor reversed, implementing a plan to screw them over due to pride here, or pride issues for the Empress reversed, the Queen of Wands reversed, and the Page of Pentacles reversed. The underlying energy is the lovers, dumping emotional attachments or multiple loads, releasing their anxieties, and or imprisonment, with the Page of Pentacles presenting the truth. Going forward is the Page of Pentacles reversed, in need of help, or a missed opportunity with clarity or new information on break, or about 5D connection and the player falling short, with issues at work, healing and forgiving and uncomfortable, with the Page of Swords reversed, bleeding out over the Six of Cups reversed, and getting over it. In the recent past, it's the Ten of Swords upright, ending pain, or in a painful ending or betrayal, or unhappily recovering with the King of Wands reversed, standing up for themselves to the King of Swords reversed, in an unstable home and being uncomfortable there, with the Ten of Pentacles, family, business, or community, and a lover's announcement, or sitting in judgment of the Ace of Wands, new passion, offered to the King of Wands reversed, who's working to align with getting their ducks in a row. The foundation here is the Five of Pentacles reversed, recovering from exile of the group, after a battle of divorce, and the Two of Cups upright in a heated exchange with the 5D connection. The central energy of the Indigo reversed, insecure without diamond or proposal to make without it, in a split, divide, or need for the truth, to cut the hostage loose, to heal in a death, end, transition, or dark night of the soul at 8:44. The 8 of strength and manifestation, the dance, and the 44 of boredom or apathy, or grounding and integrating and mastering of love, especially receiving it. Challenged by the Five of Wands reversed. Perhaps ending the conflict or in a losing battle with the wounded warrior, and grounding, integrating the Emperor reversed, who could be way out of control, abusing his power, or perhaps stepping down with no options but to receive love from some kind of unequal relationship between the Queen of Pentacles reversed and the King of Pentacles upright. Perhaps they tripped up or dropped the ball, taking the lead with no peace, with a deception, and the Knight of Swords over it, with big love from one silenced by the Emperor reversed, no longer flirting with two lovers. Perhaps they dropped one, losing their patience, their temper, or the fallen angel in a downturn, dissatisfied and withholding from hostage, or causing them anxieties. Now crowning is the King of Pentacles upright, falling short and losing their temper, or player, fallen angel, and the King of Pentacles with the Ten of Pentacles family, and the Emperor who's upright here, yeah, they're upright right here, is struggling for a way out of a marriage perhaps, or some kind of contract. Taming the beast with the Knight of Pentacles, moving in on a death walk here. It's like moving on in a death walk, kind of like the walk of shame. And the Fool freed by synchronicities and options, hoarding in a war with detoxing an ex, the Queen of Cups up for the Queen of Cups upright perhaps. The King of Pentacles upright with nowhere to eat out as a superhero, without big love at work, or perhaps if they do, it's through a third party, and the Empress reversed is coming clean, or cleaning up the act or space, in a breakup with fantasy family, over fallen angel, and the High Priestess reversed without the keys, or secret passion in a twist of fate. Soon here is the Ace of Swords reversed in a split, or the completion of a cycle and implementing a plan, the inequity with the Queen of Pentacles reversed and the High Priestess reversed, trying to end the nightmare with the Hermit's advice. The Page of Wands, inspired by heated exchange, with the Queen of Wands reversed and the Page of Cups upright, with a loving, or that can be a loving message. At 9 p.m., which is a lot of source energy backing up the Hermit, with the twin flame lovers reversed, without affection or getting over loss, regret, and a break with the Ten of Cups reversed, unhappy family, and burdened by Atlas or the weight in the world, healing and dreams coming true, presently withholding or playing hardball with Atlas, or burdens or whatever weight or difficulties you're dealing with Gemini and Cancer reversed, Aquarius upright here. Romantic feelings, keep an open mind, and give your relationship a chance very soon. Around the twins or how they're seen is the Eight of Cups reversed, uncomfortable with news, exposed or exposed to children, in a slowdown with no movement forward, feeling insecure without tools or manipulations of ego or awakening, or with sudden idea on a vacation. The block here is the Page of Swords reversed, with no message or bad news, spying or lying or spreading rumors, with the Page of Wands upright, excited to announce or call about issues at work, or call to their big love as to why there was no message. And then what comes up is nothing but love. Feeling defenseless to unwanted advances or affection, with little lizard watching. On discharge from hospital, rehab, or prison, with verbal abuse, a split, or lies with divine masculine's heart in the Batcave, with secret passion or loss of integrity. And the King of Pentacles upright with sudden event, epiphany, or sexual exchange in a twist of fate. Unhappy withholding new life from the prisoner or hostage. The Divine Masculine's heart, the King of Cups working to align with the past returning, or sad kids perhaps. And the Emperor reversed at 9/11, perhaps an emergency, with an unstable home at present, with dependent and needing to surrender to all that is, with the Page of Cups upright, or a loving message. At 9/11, the Six of Cups reversed, falling out in the past, coming out of exile, perhaps an ex or without affection, or the twin without affection, and uncomfortable in a betrayal or no proposal, challenged by ending a conflict of a split or a lie, and the Page of Swords reversed in negative self-talk or dealing with rumors, and the Page of Swords with a mouth. This could also be a child with a mouth on them, or just very immature communication. And the King of Pentacles, Divine Masculine's heart, losing control or stepping down, present to the flame, and instability, powerlessness, and needing to surrender to it all. With new love offer and downturn from the Empress reversed, without option and without twin, in transition, dark night of the soul, and a falling out in the past, betrayal and painful ending, and or divorce, coming out of exile, insecure, challenged by ending conflict with the King of Pentacles, without affection in a split, uncomfortable with negative talk in the Divine Masculine's heart, with the Emperor reversed, present in the moment or to their gifts, moving, visiting, or needing stability, independence, and to surrender to all that is at 1146, which is justice, truth, and balance, and the 46 of the loving children within. And there can be alignment too of the children here. Okay, I know that was a lot, so I don't really want, I'm just going to pull a Journey of Love card for you guys because it's gone long already. I know it's a lot to take in. And I'll definitely get a bunch of the astrological reads done tomorrow. Anything I can do up till about 3 o'clock, I'll try to get done. Okay. So for our takeaway for this read today. Just for a moment, joy. There's the 46 again. Okay, so receiving that light to your heart, maybe raising your arms up in the air in joy physically, right? And drop into your heart, which is again a child energy. That's the Page of Pentacles. So just for a moment, joy. Allow yourself to drop into your heart. There may be a mother that prays on you as well, or for you, but it comes up with the 15, which is the shadow side of the mother, right? The one who wants to control. Even though she may have good intentions, she may be giving you intentions that are not your intentions, which is not good energy to be receiving, because it's going against what you want for yourself. And then we have the eruption of light, of alignment, of the 11 of justice, truth, and balance, and that is the Hieros Gamos energy of hitting that 0 point and expanding exponentially upward and downward in a Y type of formation there, right? Because we kind of have a base down here, whereas this is unlimited. But there's that Hieros Gamos energy. In the heart of the moment, the 16 of a sudden event. Okay, so there's definitely some connecting going on there. As we get into the 3-2-1, that high vibration destiny of the, right, of the Trinity here, 3-1, of the twins plus the third energy. And there we have again, so this looks like a tunnel underground, even though it's supposed to be like the vortex, but it's kind of just, it's really big and it's still rough energy in there, but calm at the same time. And right next to it is this kind of reflecting energy of the womb. Okay, so they're showing you the vortex, or perhaps a tunnel even underground, that's reflecting the same energy of the womb of the mother, perhaps someone getting an ultrasound there. Within nothing, there is everything of the number 2, which is the divine feminine, the high priestess, and the two sides of a situation, which can be duality or bringing the two to the center, where two are as one, as we have the 1-0-2, the masculine and the feminine with space between. And there's the 8. And God speaks. There's your connection to God in the Hieros Gamos there. And the bride offers her, it could go through the whole deck, but the bottom of the deck is the 65 of the King of Pentacles here, and the breaking again, the crashing of coming together. Beneath that is, again, crashing, coming together in the heart. It's like the churning of the heart, the presses. The presses are out. It's like, you know, the newspapers, but it's also the function of the heart here, coming together with 66 is the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. And this is also the Beatles energy, you know, come together right now. It'll be the breaking of you. So some kind of breaking going on, whether it's a breaking up, a breaking down, a breaking in, out, or a breakthrough to come together in the Hero's Gamos could be also coming up here. So it just depends on your situation. But it's pretty intense. So let's go ahead and read. The first one was 46, which is about joy. Just for a moment, joy. What we feel and express, what we choose at any given time, is our offering to the divine cosmic matrix. It germinates and is reflected back to us as manifestation in this material reality. Can you choose to gentle your heart, to let it be open to light and to life, even if just for a moment? If you're in the midst of darkness, of deep suffering, can you find, even for just a moment, the joy of existence underneath it? It's a wild ride, this life. Every time you open your arms in yes, the universe responds in kind. This oracle brings you a message in this moment. Trust that there is joy waiting to be felt and found, no matter how hard that may be to believe right now. Let go of your attachment to the apparent problems at hand as much as you can, and you'll be allowing yourself to let the divine take over and sort out what needs to happen here. There's help awaiting your invitation always. And why not let it in and let joy in too? You're being offered divine support to live a less guarded existence, to dissemble yourself a little or a lot and let your true nature, which is joy, bubble to the surface without rhyme or reason other than just because it lives. You don't need a reason to be happy and be joyful and be silly and be whoever you want to be. And the poem reads, love is magic like a balmy breeze on a winter night, as Dan Winter came up in the read. And it feels so good. You want it to last forever. And love is magic because we make it so, by opening to the pleasure of being alive and sharing the joy we feel. And when we're not looking, the night may warm again. Yeah, so it's about having faith that nothing ever stays the same and that things can be better if you just shift your perspective just for a moment for joy. So I invite you to drink your water, get your rest, your joy in your nature, and be good to yourselves. And breathe. I think you need to breathe again. One more time. And rise and be love, you guys. See you soon. Have an amazing day. Bye.